Hello, welcome to another edition of the Vulcan Sports Wire. I'm your host, Gary Smith, and I'm joined, as always, by Cal U Sports Information Director, Mr. Matt Keifer, who's overseeing the center part of the campus from his lovely office high atop Hamer Hall. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing well. I've seen a lot of people buzzing around the alley out in your area there today. A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, as we're filming this, it's Appreciation Day, and as I was giving the introduction, I was like, I don't know if I should give Matt's location. That might be like the Batcave. It might be under wraps. But enough of that shenaniganism. Let's get into what happened this past weekend in Vulcan Athletics, and we're going to start with the baseball diamond. The team had a tough, and always a tough, 4-game series with Mercyhurst, but California coming out with a split with the Mercyhurst Lakers.
Yeah, again, they haven't split with the Lakers since 2014, so it's been a while. Part of that is, again, Mercyhurst being a very, very good program. And also, I think there's 1 year in there, maybe two. Obviously, last year was COVID, so there's 1 year gone. And there's also one time since 2014 where the series wasn't completed. The standings were what they were, and weather was one of those things. Mercyhurst came down, but the games couldn't get finished, and they didn't bother playing the next day because the standings were already in hand by such a large margin. The games basically didn't matter from a standings perspective. So 2 of those years since 16 are a wash. But again, since 2014, they hadn't split with the Lakers. But the series started with a bang for sure up in Erie. The Lakers, again, as they have time and time again, are loaded with pitching. Game 1 starter for the Lakers this time was a Cincinnati transfer who was just absolutely dealing. Michael McDonough. He had 8 Ks in the game, only allowed 1 run and 2 hits in 5 innings. Only threw 76 pitches, so he definitely could have gone a little further, you think. But Lakers have so much pitching, they went to the bullpen. And luckily for the Vulcans, they did because in the top of the 7th on the road, Aaron Pravisky, a senior center fielder, belted a 3-run homer to give the Vulcans a 4-3 lead going into the 7th. And then Nick Riggle, again, kept the Vulcans in the game the entire contest. So after that home run, turned the ball over to Patrick Gumpto, and he basically shut the door there. And for Riggle, again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, he got that 20th career victory, becoming one of those handful of guys. But he also moved up to 2nd all-time in innings pitched at Cal with 233. So that's a lot of innings in the arm. He passed Rick Cribb, again, we talked about before, a major leaguer, and Chris Dorsher from 2004 to 2007. So he's only one guy behind G.J. Senchek, who also, like Nick, had that benefit of a 5th year. G.J. was due to injury, but Nick's got a couple more starts here to see how far he can get close to that record there. But in Game 2, the Vulcans weren't able to get the sweep. Mercyhurst got the 7-4 lead, 7-4 victory. Vulcans were up 3-2 in the 3rd, but Mercyhurst got 5 runs in the next 2 innings and just sort of put the game away. Again, turning the game over to the bullpen a little bit early. And unfortunately for the Vulcans, weren't able to replicate the success in Game 2 like they did in Game 1 on the road on Friday.
And after Friday, of course, the teams turned around and headed south on I-79 at destination Washington, PA, Wild Things Park. And I tell you, Matt, beautiful day on Saturday, a pretty big crowd out at Wild Things Park. And if you're a baseball fan and baseball purist, those were 2 very well-played college baseball games. First game, California, as we're going to see in the highlights and you're going to talk about in a second, were able to come back from an early deficit. But the second game was a pitcher's duel. But like I said, if you're a baseball fan, you saw everything: home runs, double plays, wild pitches, steals, small ball. I mean, you pretty much could check everything out of the box as a baseball fan.
Yeah, well, they're starting to turn in April here, being some really nice days, and gets the crowd out a little bit more. And again, with the Wild Things, it's actually now capacity up to 1,000, so there's no space restrictions. We still want people to social distance, wear masks if they can when they're there. But Game 1 of the doubleheader, Mercer's got it to a 2-0 lead in the first, but the Vulcans came back with 7 runs in the next 2 innings. You felt pretty comfortable, but again, Mercyhurst's offense this year, led by the third baseman Elliott, they're able to put up some crooked numbers, and they did just that in the 5th, getting 3 more runs. But luckily, the Vulcans got 2 in the bottom of the inning to get that 9-6 win in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Josh Rankin had big contest for the Vulcans there. Got 3 RBIs. Didn't start the game, but came off the bench. He got 3 RBIs and a couple different hits. So that was Game 1. In Game 2, Vulcans took the 2-0 lead in the first, and Jackson Miller, a freshman from Albert Gallatin, people saw him for most of the year as a reliever, but the last 2 weeks he's been a starter due to some just idea of the roster of how it's structured right now. But he's done a great job. He's had the Vulcans right there in it. Got a couple big double plays, a couple of nice defensive plays in the contest for the Vulcans. But Mercier's got a 2-run homer in the 6th and sort of took the lead there. and add another run in the seventh to get that 4-2 win, salvage the split of the weekend.
And let's take a look at those highlights from this past Saturday's doubleheader action between the California Vulcans and the Mercyhurst Lakers. As the runner moves, pitch outside, throw down to second base, and Provisky is in there with the stolen base. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Goes to the bat stop. It's going to bounce straight back, and that's going to get a run home for the Vulcans. Here's the pitch. Swung on. That's hit to center field. Back goes the center fielder. Will he have a play? It's over the head. So McCaskey's going to bring home 2 with extra bases. McCaskey digging. He's going to hold up at second, and Jake McCaskey will get the Vulcans a 3-2 lead. 1-0 pitch. Hit high into center field. Going to be a can of corn as the center fielder drifts back. And now it's over his head. He misplays it. As that went from a can of corn to disaster. And David Lee will get a 3-bagger. 2 runs come in. 0-2 pitch, hit to center field, drifting back, and there's the catch, and that's going to be deep enough for sacrifice. Both runners will move up and give run number 6 to the Vulcans. So 0-1 pitch, there's a shot up the middle and a base hit for the Vulcans, and Rankin comes in and delivers. 1-2 pitch, another off-speed pitch and a frozen rope, strike 3. And there's a ground ball to short, charging. Here's the play to throw to first and taken. Sterling defensive play that time for the Vulcans. And 1, 2, 3 go the Lakers. 1-1 pitch. Swung on and lined into right center field. That'll bring home at least 2. Surrounding the corner are the Vulcans. 1 run in, 2 runs in, and a 2-run single for Josh Rankin. And the Vulcans extend their lead to 9-5. Pitch, and he does. Patrick Gumto with the big comeback. 2-2 pitch once again. Swung and a miss. That ends the inning, and Patrick Gumto lets out a cheer. And that ends the inning for the Vulcans. 1-2. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. And just like that, Patrick Gumto closes the door for a Game 1 victory for the California Vulcans. Waits the first pitch from Whiteman. Swings and flown out to right. Back goes the right fielder. Will it stay in? No, it won't. Touch them all. Patrick Brogan. 2-out dinger for the Vulcans opposite field. And Patrick Brogan gives the Vulcans a 2-run lead. Shot right off the pitcher. That'll be an infield single for Venezia. And quickly the Vulcans are in business here in the bottom of the 3rd. Runner goes, and there's a bunt attempt. Throw down, and it'll be too late. Stolen base for Venezia. Full count pitch. Rowe gets away. Runner's going to try for 3rd. Stewart's throw, and they got him dead to right. Good job by Stewart taking the ball off the backstop, throws it out. That ends the inning. Pitch. Right back through the middle, and it gets through. So a good job of batting as Aaron Provisky just lines one through the middle. There's the pitch, swung on, over to 3rd. Do they have it? Another in 5, 4, 3, double play, and back-to-back innings for the Lakers, getting out with a double play, so that ends the inning. There's the pitch, swung on a miss. Jackson Miller with a strikeout. There's a shot right into that gap, and Justin Stewart will lead off with a base hit. Ball's misplayed. He's going to dig for 2, throw to second, and he's in with a sliding, hustling, and aggressive double to lead off the bottom of the 5th. Justin Stewart. There's the pitch, knocked out to Brogan. Brogan goes back. That's going to be trouble. That is going to be out of here, just down the line. So a 2-run shot for the Lakers. Number 25, Josh Serwick, gives Mercyhurst all of a sudden a 3-2 lead. As that was a laser beam there for Serwick. And Matt, after the weekend split with Mercyhurst, things are starting to become a little more bunched up in the PSAC standings. California looks like they're going to be jockeying for position with Slippery Rock Gannon and Mercyhurst throughout the stretch run here in the 2021 baseball season.
Yeah, and one of those things, again, you always want to try to split. That way you don't lose the advantage, because the head-to-head, obviously, Slippery Rock took 3 or 4 from the Vulcans. So if it comes down to it, the head-to-head is going to be no question Slippery Rock. So at least if you split everything, you force into tiebreakers, and then you hopefully maybe can find a way in there if you have to. But Seton Hill, again, has been on pause for a couple weeks now. They're to come back this week, but again, we're forced on pause. So they're 4-0, but they're desperate and desiring to get back on the field. Big weekend this week for the Vulcans again with UPJ, who have maybe the best pitcher in the PSAC, maybe the Atlantic region. And honestly, if they had the award still, probably for National Pitcher of the Year, it's just his numbers are just absolutely insane right now. But again, finding a way. Mercier always will find a way. 4 teams is incredibly difficult in baseball. A lot of sports have the 4 privates in the West, but again, very few sports outside of baseball do the privates fund like they do and are as competitive as they are in baseball. So baseball is definitely the uphill battle from perspective with the privates in the Western Division than they are in most other sports for the Vulcans. But Coach Conti and Coach Nora, they're going to do the best they can. The Vulcans are going to be competitive no matter who they play, what day it is, public or private. There's no question.
I tell you what, with typically four conference games a week, those standings could be dramatically altered in the span of 48 hours. So make sure to keep checking out KyleVulcans.com for anything pertaining to Vulcan baseball. And if you're curious about the standings over on the PSAC, you can either skip on over to psacsports.org or click around on the internet. We're in the 21st century. You can find those stats and standings out pretty quickly. But so that puts the ribbon on baseball for the past weekend. Let's move ahead to men's and women's golf, who, Matt, they were playing in the PSAC championships out of Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, again, this course is the same as it normally is. Hershey Country Club East course is where they played. By and large, it's mostly played in October, but obviously because of how the fall semester went for everything, the PSAC was able to reserve the course this past weekend, the weekend of the Masters. So again, I'm sure by and large everybody was on the course in the clubhouse checking out not only the leaderboard of their own tournament, but checking out the Masters to see how that was going as well. But the Vulcans, again, on the women's side, finishing third overall. Very impressive finish for the Vulcans there. When the PSAC split in the men's and women's championships, because for the longest time they were one combined championship. But when they split in 2008, the Vulcans sort of were running the conference by and large, basically because of how the roster was structured, a lot of international players. Those times and eras now gone. But the Vulcans posted their best finish at the meet since 2016. Again, it's a roster with no seniors on it. Rachel Wilson is the most veteran player on it, being a junior. In the lineup that was playing the course, she shot a 21 over 163, shot a great round of 76 in the first round, and then finished up with an 87 on Saturday. So nice to see her finish top 5 again. She's been doing that routinely all year long. But before this year, her best finish at the conference meet was 14th. Last year in fall of 2019. So you can see the improvement in her game undoubtedly there when you're jumping 14-3 on the same course against by and large the same field. It's showing your growth and your improvement. And then again, number 2 and number 3 for the Vulcans were first time playing the course. And freshman Addie Mann from New Jersey, and then Hallie Harrington, the women's basketball player again from Phillipsburg, PA. They both finished in the top 20 overall at the tournament. So it was nice to see. And then Jacqueline Smith and Lexi Tiffinelli also getting some action and putting up some nice numbers to help the Vulcans finish third in the team standings. And Gannon, you see on the graphic at one point here, they actually tied Mercyhurst after 2 rounds, but Gannon ended up winning the playoff hole. Basically, they have all 5 players play the hole, and then whichever team has the lowest score among the team 5 players, I think Gannon shot 12, and I think Mercier shot 13 on the hole. So the Lady Knights got the title and also had the individual winner on the women's side.
I tell you what, I would have loved to have been there to watch that 5-person not sudden death playoff, but that 5-person per team playoff, because that's just an interesting way of deciding the conference champion. And on the men's side, California. There's a lot of steep competition on the men's side in the PSAC, but California fought tooth and nail for the entire weekend. Yeah,
it ended up finishing 6th overall in the PSAC championships team standings at 59 over. But again, there's a lot of jumbled teams right in that mix only 4 or 5 strokes apart. I mean, third place was Shepherd at 52 over, and Westchester was seventh at 64. So only 12 strokes difference for basically 5 teams in the standings. It tells you how tight of a race it really was in the middle of it there. But IUP, as they have time and time again, and they won their 30th conference championship for the last 5. I had the lowest tournament score on Saturday to end up winning the title by 4 strokes over Mercyhurst. But that's just one of the things. IUP, they're always going to be there. A roster, no matter who it is, they always find a way. And Shepherd, Owen Elliott, he's a senior. He shot a 1 over in the final round, and he actually won the medalist by 3 strokes, shooting a 1 under 141 over 2 days. So I know you would love to shoot a 1 under over 2 days on the same course yourself. So it tells you the kind of caliber golfer he is.
I would enjoy shooting 1 under for any stretch of 9 holes or 18 holes. Trust me.
Yeah. And then for the Vulcans, again, the top 3 golfers were freshmen. So, again, some of them are from the eastern part of the state, so they may be somewhat familiar with the course, but it was their first time playing in the championship event. So, again, obviously nerves are going to be a factor, but Tyler Kipp shot even par 71 in the second round, and he climbed 7 places on the leaderboard on the last day and finished at 6 over. And he actually posted the best finish for the Vulcans since 2017. And then his classmate Reese Watson was among the top 5 overall after the first day, but he ended up tied for 7th at 10 over 152. So, again, nice to see the Vulcans' growth there. The idea of they're playing this course now, but, again, everything hopefully go on schedule to be back there again in October, and they can learn some of these lessons, how the whole courses play like that for October, and when they go back again for the championship, see how they do to improve.
And that puts a ribbon on the past weekend's PSAC Men's Women's Golf Championship. But stay tuned later in the show because I know the golf teams are not finished for this year, so that's a little bit of a tease to stick with us to the end of the show and see what I'm alluding to. But another team in action this past weekend, Matt, the Vulcan tennis team, traveling the short distance down I-70 to Seton Hill to take on the Griffins.
Yeah, again, as it has been basically the case here for the last month or so, they've been playing a lot of PSAC matches. Lost 7-0 against the Griffins, playing at the Greensburg Racket Club. Seton Hill is one of those unique campuses. There's really not a tennis facility on their campus, but being in Greensburg, there's enough neighboring high schools, indoor clubs that are available and options to play. Vulcans actually used 2 new doubles pairings in the match at the 2 and 3 slot. And the first slot, they moved up their traditional number 2 pairing up. And talking to the head coach, it sounds like that actually somewhat worked well for the Vulcans. Yes, they lost all 3 matches, but there were some tight points back and forth, which is what you want to see for a young roster and trying to develop and figure out what they're going to be going forward.
And that's awesome to see that there's some growth happening with the tennis team. And again, that's going to wrap up their action for the weekend. But again, they're not done, and so that's another tease to stick with us to the end of the show. But Matt, as always, every week, you and your staff and department bestow the honor of Vulcans of the Week. And this week, we have 2 new faces to join that illustrious group from the Vulcans of the Week 2021 spring semester.
Yeah, I know last week I referenced how we go Tuesday to Tuesday and sort of sit down. Rachel Wilson was the clubhouse leader before PSAC championships even happened. And there's no question with how she played at the PSAC championships that she was going to get that honor there, helping the team again post its best finish since 2016, and her finishing 3rd overall with scores of 76 and 87. Again, very impressive numbers for somebody at that championship event. And on the men's side, we went with Tyler Kipp. Wasn't sure after day 1 who was going to be. It might have been his other classmate, but at the end of the day, he shot an even par 71, which is the best score in the entire field on Saturday. So that definitely helped to move up the leaderboard, and also the idea of, in my mind, of being the most deserving recipient of it. Finished the tournament again at 6 over 148, shooting 77 and a 71. And had the best finish at the event for the Vulcans since 2017. So those are the 2 athletes of the week going on the links this time. Both men's and women's golf getting the honor this week.
And congratulations to them. And trust me, I've put their names down in case I need any help in scrambles this summer. I'll make sure to go through your office to get their information. But Matt, some other news that was coming out today as we were just getting ready to talk. You got to write a football story for the first time in quite a while. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's been definitely a while for since I've actually had to go back into the football roster and start writing names and putting together a story. But as has been the case since its 15th year in existence, the National Football Foundation and College Football Hall of Fame, yes, it's very lengthy. It gets even longer. There is the Hampshire Honor Society, and they recognize senior football players who had a cumulative 3.20 GPA while they're an undergrad student, and then also complete eligibility either in the fall, like the Power Fives, spring 2021, like some D3 conferences have done, or in the case of the recipients at CalU, graduated or plan to graduate very soon with no intent of finishing out their collegiate play with the extra year they have remaining. The two recipients are linebacker Rashid Page Jones from Woodland Hills and defensive back Jimmy Pierce from Laurel Highlands. Two guys, again, who've been a part of the program 4 or 5 years, and were part of it in 2016, maybe as a red shirt, something like that, when they won the PSAC championship. But Jimmy actually completed his undergraduate degree in criminal justice last May, and Ashid looks to finish up his sport management degree here in the next month. So both of those individuals, congratulations to them. And there are also some other seniors for the Vulcans who may meet that requirement, but they have chose to come back and play hopefully in the fall of 2021 and finish out their eligibility, and they'll be on the squad next year. And Cal was only one of 3 PSAC schools to have any nominees for the award, so it's great for the Vulcans there. And of the 3, 2 of the 3 had multiple recipients. So it tells us not only the kind of players we have, but also the student athletes in the program. 255 schools overall were represented, and over 900 athletes received the award, with the most notable name probably being Trevor Lawrence from Clemson, also getting it because obviously he's not going back to play for the He's going to be making a couple $1 million here in the next week or two.
Yeah, I think he's going to be listening for his name very early in a Thursday night here in a couple weeks. But congratulations to both of those recipients. Like you said, it's great to have this success on the field, but also in the classroom as well. And that's definitely something to put on the trophy case of life as you graduate and get ready to go out into the real world. But getting out into the real world, it's time to look ahead at this coming week. And I tell you what, Matt, we talk a few times every day. And this is the time of the show where, like, the schedule was going to change. And I swear, whenever I clicked on the schedule this morning, things have shifted a few times in the past day and a half. So once again, this is the upcoming schedule as we have it right now. For the most up-to-date information, go to calvulcans.com or subscribe to the Twitter at calvulcans and to have the most up-to-date information. But Matt, what do we have going on? It looks like we have a lot going on starting Thursday the 15th all the way to next Wednesday or next Tuesday the 20th.
Yeah, again, starting tomorrow, a rare Thursday sporting event, but again, it's a 2-day event up at Slippery Rock for the men's and women's track and field team, sending the decathlons, pentathlons, those ones who do all those 5 or 6 different events. They are going to be going up there and competing at Slippery Rock again. They call multi-invitational basically. While the remainder of the team will go up on Friday and compete at the Lennox Invitational, which is also hosted by Slippery Rock. So a lot of track and field action going on at the Rock here this weekend. But that's what we're looking at for Thursday and Friday for them. Tennis will actually take a break from conference play and will make the trip over to Frostburg State in Maryland, a former Division III program who's in their 2nd or 3rd year, I believe, now in MEC. So we'll see how the Vulcans do against them. And then we alluded to earlier, baseball opens their series with Pitt Johnstown this weekend, starting with a Friday home doubleheader, which would be a great Game 1 contest between Nick Riggle and then Dylan Hyde. Just assuming the 2 number 1s will be pitching against each other, but again, it'll be a great contest to see those 2 guys go at it. And then on Saturday, baseball will travel to Point Stadium and play Pitt Johnstown, one of the best Division II facilities. May not be the newest, but has the most character of any D2 facility you probably can find in the state. And then golf will be, again, typically the championships are their ending event, but again, how the whole schedule is kind of scrambled this year, they've actually both added some tournaments going on. The women's team will go up and play again an invitational on Saturday, and the men will play at Mercyhurst on Saturday. Now keep all that straight again because they're playing again the next day on Sunday, while the women will travel again across town and go to Mercyhurst. Well, the men will travel down to Indiana and play at I think it's the 30th, normally annual, but again, last year didn't happen, the 30th Spatafor Invitational, one of the premier events in the golf season every year. It seems like IEP hosts it. They do a great job with it, and it's a good field. And again, that will play on Monday and Tuesday. With Tuesday, again, I know we're shooting next Wednesday to cap it off. It'll be the last home tennis match of the season versus Slippery Rock at 3:30 p.m.
And I tell you what, if you're out there watching this and you can keep that straight, send your email for application, help Matt out to him right away, because there's
Always looking for help.
Always looking for help. And like I said, it seems like the schedule changes every 20 minutes based on weather and just all kinds of factors. So like I said, for the most up-to-date information, go to calvolcans.com or, subscribe to Twitter at calvolcans. And Matt, that brings us to the end. One quick note, CUTV will be out there on Friday for the doubleheader home match or home games between Cal U and UPJ. So if you can't make it out to the ballpark, go to CUTV Sports 1, subscribe, or also go to the PSAC network and on the portal, and those games will be there. But Matt, this is the time I always ask you a little bit of the off-the-wall question is we turn to spring, we turn to baseball, and also that means at Wild Thing Park, the bathrooms are open. So that means the entire menu is open to those of us who can't really leave their posts for an entire game. So with the entire menu available to you, if you could, what would be your number one go-to meal to watch and enjoy a baseball doubleheader to?
Well, I mean, if you're going to have actual concessions and everything else, you got to go nachos. But again, not always the case per se in Wild Things Park. But I'm definitely a nacho man if I'm going to PNC Park. I know I'm going to be dropping some $10 on nachos, probably a Coke, and we'll go from there and sort of see, unless it's the all-you-can-eat seats, to which then you don't even care who's playing. You just care you can shove in your face.
See, I was not going to guess nachos. I thought you'd go with the traditional hot dog and Coke, which would be my choice. But I would like to go with the more highbrow hot dog, like a nice bratwurst or like a sausage or something with a spicy mustard.
Now, if you go to Rogers Center, I'm doing nachos and popcorn, because the Rogers Center, when David Price got traded to the Blue Jays a few years ago, he commented his most exciting thing about the stadium was the popcorn. They always had the best popcorn. So when I went there the first time, and every time since, I have to get popcorn first, and then I go back for nachos.
Well, I think we might have to this summer start a new series of Matt and Gary tour local baseball parks and their concessions. I think that's a win-win situation for everybody.
I'm game for it.
Well, stay tuned for more information about that, because I think we just started a new show. At the very least, we'll have to shoot a couple pilot episodes, just to make sure that it's a proof of concept. But for Matt Kiefer, I'm Gary Smith. We'll see you around all the action this weekend. And once again, for all the most up-to-date information, go to calvolcans.com online, and also subscribe to Twitter at calvolcans. So Matt Kiefer, I'm Gary Smith. We'll see you next week, and go Vulcans.